So hello everybody. I would like to thank the organizers of the for inviting me to speak here today. So I'm going to present my work entitled Introducing Data Reconciliation Functionality to the Carbon Accounting Tool CAT for better quantifying flows of wood, carbon, and chemicals in regional forest wood chains. So for those who don't know me, my name is Mojtaba Houballah. I work on the ExtraForEst project as a postdoctoral candidate, and I have an applied mathematics background. So just to give you a glimpse of my previous project, so I did my PhD at the Laboratory of Engineering of Complex Systems at LISC at Enraille Clermont-Ferrand. So I was supervised by Jean-Denis Mathias and Thomas Cordonnier, a modeler and a forester. And the title of my thesis was Modeling Multifunctional Forest Management through a Social Ecological System Framework-Based Analysis. So just to give a glimpse of what I did in this PhD, so I did some kind of characterization of the adaptive multifunctional forest management through a lens of infrastructure. So what I did is I viewed forests as social ecological systems, where I concentrated on the human part in the management of forests, and highlighted the role of shared infrastructures in mediating and enabling multiple functions simultaneously, is that the exploitation of multiple functions simultaneously. So I did 4 publications in this project. So the first one was paper published in Ecology and Society. The second one is accepted in Earth Future, and the third and fourth ones are still in progress. So as I said, I'm a postdoctoral candidate who works on the ExtraForEst project. So I guess I think all of you here know about this project. But for those who don't know, this project talks about or tackles the problem of how can chemical wood industries be included within a forest sector. So the main objective of this project is to know, so ultimately the main objective is to know the quantity and type of extractable molecules within the resource and flows at the territory level. So just let me give an example of such industry that requires molecules. So wine branding, so according to Anius and collaborators in their paper in 2013, they identified some types of molecules within the wood that is used to store wine in the cellar. So that they identified these molecules as responsible for the aging process of the wine when stored. So the more concentration of this molecule you have within the barrels, the wooden barrels, the faster the aging process for the wine you have. So it's interesting to have prior knowledge on the molecules before going into the forest and extracting the molecules. So my part in this project is to work on two tools. The first one is Carbon Accounting Tool or CAT, and the second one, the second tool is actually the project Filières Project. So I'm going to present these 2 tools. So the first one, CAT, the Carbon Accounting Tool, has been was created by Matthew Fortin, who used to work here in Nancy. And now he works with the Canadian Forest Service in Ottawa, and he's still working on this tool and for improving it. So Jean-Baptiste Pichoncourt, who also used to work here at Nancy, has also worked on this tool and did a publication presenting this tool. And CAT is also used in other projects like HCY Green, where Matthew Fortin, the creator of the tool, worked with some chemists from Nancy, for example, Nicolas Brosse and Anthony Dufour, to achieve the objective of their project. So CAT is used to import data on the resource. So in the context of ExtraForEst, we are using the output of a dynamical model, Margo, which is a model developed by EGN using the National Forest Inventory. CAT is also used to represent representing the flows within a certain forest sector through the option of Flux Manager. And the CAT is also used to calculate the carbon footprint of these flows. So we had an M1 internship, Jean Weber. So he worked on creating some kind of manual in order to explain how this tool works and explain how to use it as well. And we were expecting him as an M2 intern as well to work on the assessment of the carbon footprint of the forest wood sector at the territory scale, which is the basis of a collaboration between Silva and EGN. So given all that, CAT can also be used as a simulation tool. So it can simulate the forest carbon stock evolution in the forest sector. It can as well simulate the volume and biomass by category of wood products. So for example, paper and construction wood. We'll be able to simulate the quantity of extractables, and I say we'll be able because it has not been finalized yet. So because it's one of the objectives of ExtraForEst project as well. So given all of that, we can test the impact of change in the flows. For example, adding a flow of extractables. The question that can be answered here or can be tackled here is how will this affect the overall flows and the overall system in general. The second tool that I work with is the Filières Project. So it's a project realized by Jean-Yves Courtenot, and the objective of this project is to provide a general tool for sustainable management of biomass and to give a global picture of their flow. And they used 3 case studies. The first one is a forest wood sector, the second one is milk sector, and the third one is a plant-based agricultural sector. And they used data from EGN, FCBA, and INRIA. So what is intriguing about this project is its methodology. So first they define the structure of the industry, laying down the different transformation that biomass undergoes. And then they fill the data, and this data is identified by the flow values, constraints, linear relations between flows, etc. And they use data reconciliation because there is no such thing as perfect information. So where they do not have information about, they use data reconciliation to fill the gaps. And they represent the results using Sankey diagram, as you can see here, where it gives, where it gives a global image, and they present these results on sector experts in order to validate. But what is intriguing for us here is the data reconciliation technique. So what is data reconciliation about? So it was created by Carl Friedrich Gauss in the 1800s. And is based on the law of mass conservation, meaning that what enters the process must go out as well. And it's also based on the method of least square. So you might have heard of this method. So the idea is when you have a data cloud or data points that represent X and Y values, you can bring something like a cloud of points inside of an XY diagram. And the question during this method of least square is we want to find a straight line that is best representing this value. So it's not completely clear how the position or this line lies, but the idea is to take the distance between the point and the line and then square it and then do it for all the points and then sum all the values and you get a number. Then you change the line and you do the same and you get another number. So the idea is, so the method of least square says that the line best representing the data is where the number is calculated is the least. But I guess that it's not that important here. But what I want to what I want to explain here is what's happening during a data reconciliation. So let us look at this example where we have an import going into a process and an export going out. So it may appear here that we have some contradictional data because, for example, imagine that we have 110 going in and 120 going out. So there's a contradiction in the mass conservation law. So applying here data reconciliation requires two conditions. The first one is having overdetermined system of equation, and here we have, because we have one balance equation and zero unknown, so overdetermined system of equation. And the second one is that the uncertainties about the imports and exports are given. So so data reconciliation can be applied, and applying it, we get this kind of result where we have 105 plus or minus 7 going in and 105 plus or minus 7 going out. So going to a more complex example. So this example is taken from an article by Sensik in 2016, where he presented a complex mathematical algorithm that is used to deal with complex data reconciliation problems. So so let me just explain the example here. So we have flow 1, flow 3, and flow 5, where we have imports and exports going out with their uncertainties. We have flow 2 with the exact number, so we do not have uncertainty in that flow. We have flow 4, flow 6, and flow 7. We have unknown variables. So applying data reconciliation, we get the following result. But what is intriguing here, we even after applying data reconciliation, flow 6 and flow 7 remains unknown because if we look closely at process 3, we see that we have one flow, which is flow 5 going in, and 2 flows going out. So we do not have an overdetermined system of equation. So it's a kind of drawback. I don't know if you can say it's a drawback of the data reconciliation method, but it's how it works. So you need a minimum amount of information in order to apply this method. So I will, unfortunately, this is still fresh work. So I'm going to conclude with the work plan that we are on track right now. So we're working collectively with Jean-Luc Matt from DRAF, Claire Junker from FIBOA, André Cuny from EGN, and Francis Collin and myself from NRAE. And we're working, the work plan is partitioned into 2 axioms. The first one is data collection, which we need data in order to apply our methods. So the idea is to create a tool for assembling all the statistics concerning forest wood sectors. So it's a kind of infrastructure that we can use in order to have the data that we want. And the second axiom is a simulation tool, and because we are trying to combine CAT and Filières, we are trying to create a simulation tool where we can test different scenarios. One intriguing scenario that we can test here is the crisis of the bark beetle. It would be interesting to see what happens to the forest sector and the chemical wood sector when we have such a crisis. So thank you.